Thank you. Thank you for the brave bunch that managed to come here after the happy hour. So happy we're a few people here as well. So that opens up for questions and discussion if you want to. So I'm Jonas Flodh. I'm with Recurly. I have spent some time in the OTT and sort of streaming media space before in the ad sector, rolled out sort of ad platform and ad management across Europe. And then since a year, I joined Recurly, and Recurly obviously been at it for over 10 years now, being a pioneer in the subscription space, helping companies basically manage subscriptions in an efficient way. So today I will do a brief introduction to Recurly, just explain what it is, and then go into benchmarks around churn, all types of churn. We'll discuss sort of voluntary churn and involuntary churn and the importance of that and some tactics around that. So that's the plan. So as stated, Recurly has been part of powering the sort of the subscription economy for over 10 years. The core mission of Recurly is to make sort of subscription a competitive advantage for its customers. We focus on deep expertise in payments. We think that's a core important part, the ability to manage payment and payment success in a really efficient way. And also help companies that have sort of high scale and high velocity to manage the complexity of different plans and changes of plans and changes of state. We try to reduce their complexity of setting up a subscription business and then provide analytics and insights around that. Some key data, over 2,300 customers in the subscription space. We have 200 people, some of them here. We have our head office in San Francisco and then development offices in Boulder and New Orleans. And currently we sort of manage a healthy $5 billion in terms of transaction volume on the platform on a yearly run rate, and that's sort of growing in a nice space. We do not only sort of power OTT and streaming media, we have a number of different subscription businesses that we do support. So you have the traditional software as a service companies, consumer and business services that are obviously starting their life usually as a subscription business. We also have Internet of Things and physical goods, all the boxes, smart boxes for different types that we do power. All have sort of high velocity, scale, and importance of customer experience in common. But obviously some of our top brands and top categories is in OTT and the streaming media. So you see Sling TV, we power them. CBS, a lot of the CBS properties, Showtime, Stars, Fubo TV. Twitch is obviously a giant in terms of streaming media, even if it's not sort of traditional TV content they stream in all the markets. So that's our biggest category that we support if it's our product. All right, this is a bit of a subscription 101, so I won't spend too much time on it, but like it's sort of used to sort of put down the importance of time and customer lifetime. So this is the very core concept that sort of the longer you can keep a customer, the more profitable it is. You have the customer acquisition cost up front, the cost of providing free trials and promotions, and then over time, given that your price at least sort of exceeds the cost, the delivery cost of it, you sort of make more money. And really the game is the longer you can keep your customer with your platform, the more profitable your business will be. So that's actually a sort of the key to success. So in a sense, it's fairly simple business model. So just do that and you'll be successful. So there's obviously different types of churn. First, we're going to talk a bit about sort of voluntary churn and what to do about that. So minimizing churn and increasing revenue is obviously key. And obviously, as if you have hundreds, thousands of millions of subscribers, sort of any change in the churn level obviously have a compounding effect over time. So it's really important to manage that. And you don't only obviously lose a customer. It's not only the value that you lose at that cycle, it's all the future monetary gains that you would get from that customer. And also the customer will obviously spread a message around the service and so on. So it's really, really important. And the customer engagement and retention starts early. It's not sort of once you have them. It's really across the life cycle that you need to manage churn. So it's how you drive acquisition, what do you offer in terms of free trial and promotion, what is the experience there for the clients, that sets up the expectations. The plans and bundles you offer, so how many different plans, how do you bundle it, and importantly, what is the flexibility for the customer to upgrade, downgrade, or maybe pause their subscription if their the circumstances of the subscriber change. Customer experience and support, super important, as well as service quality and operation. And at every time of this cycle, the customer evaluates the service, and if the perceived value drops beneath the cost for any amount of time, they will churn. And obviously, if they have churn, the cost for getting them back is really high. It's usually not only the customer acquisition cost you had from the beginning, but you need to convince them to come back to your service. So you need to think about churn in every aspect of your business. How you offer it, what the plans are, what the experience are when they're on the platform, and then think about it as winning the customer every month or every quarter or every week, depending on how you set up your plans. So looking at a few things across that. So one of the most powerful ways to win customers is obviously free trials or free tiers, like ad-based tiers in some cases. And this is from Mary Meeker's latest internet report, saying that free trial or tiers is the most important reason a customer tries out the new service. So it's actually more important than content, the exclusive content rights, or the bundles that you put together. So that it is a really important part of getting somebody started. But also it's actually pretty high. Our research shows that on the B2C side, for monthly plans, almost 60% of trial starts end up in an active customer. So it's not a bad way. 60% is a good gain for that. The conversion rate is better for a monthly plan than a quarterly or yearly plan in general. It's lower price points, provide a slightly higher conversion rate, and also a lower trial period. So 7-day trial period has a slightly higher conversion rate than a 15-day. Then it trails off after that. Obviously, the amount of customer that might be willing to test you can be higher if you have a 30-day, but the conversion rate goes down. And I think maybe most importantly is maybe this little fact down here. We actually looked at a number of our big customers and looked at customers that started the service with a trial or started without the trial. And it showed that the customers that started with a trial had a 24% longer lifespan on the platform than customer not starting with a trial, which is quite interesting. It means that they have evaluated the service and taken a real decision to stay on your platform. So you do have a drop-off of the conversion rate, but they become more loyal customer. And as we saw before, that's absolutely crucial to your subscription business. So that's a key thing. Another key thing across the life cycle is that the flexibility of offering plans. So demonstrating the value not only depends on the service and the content you have, but also how you allow a customer to change their plans and adopt based on the customer's changed need. Maybe they are moving, maybe they don't have the economic ability to have the full plan. So allowing them to downgrade or upgrade or have another bundle is super important. It's smart to do that. And in some cases, obviously, they do want to cancel, and then it's important to allow them to pause. So this data shows you that of customers that are allowed to pause, actually 1/3 comes back and reactivates their subscription, and around 50% are actually lost. So customers that usually come in with intent to cancel, then offer, shouldn't you pause instead, stay with the platform? You can win back 1/3 of those, which is obviously really powerful and super important for a subscription business for all the reasons we've talked about before. It also means when you have them on pause, you still have access to those customers. You can communicate with them, you can understand why they're pausing, and that's a gold mine of data to adapt your service and offer other tiers and other ways of managing the customers. So that's a really important piece of how you should play your subscription business. So don't fight the pause, use it, leverage it, get data, and then win your customer back. I think that's the core learning there. So in the end, voluntary churn obviously still happen and in an ongoing challenge, in particular for highly competitive B2C markets. So this is sort of data across our industries for a number of different industries. So although we're sort of happy to see that in most industries actually the churn is sort of dropping despite increased competition year over year due to some of the tactics we talked about and some of the sort of innovation that our customers are doing, it's still sort of a important factor. For OTT and SVOD in particular, it's trending down. It's almost 1% down to 8%, but it's still one of the highest categories, and it's pretty natural both due to the consumer nature of the business and also the high competition. So this is the data we see across the different industries. There's also another type of churn, which is the involuntary churn. If voluntary churn is sort of the customer taking an active choice to sort of to not use your service any longer, and we're talking about all the tools you have in your arsenal to do that, involuntary churn is even more frustrating because it's customers that didn't show any intention to leave your service, but it happened for technical reasons. And it's actually a pretty can be a pretty big factor. So, and this is also where subscription business is specific. If you have a one-time e-commerce business and you want to sign up a customer, something goes wrong, you can communicate with that customer in real time, they can update the card information, they can even change payment method, and you have the ability to win them over. Obviously for subscription business, you get the payment detail once, and then you use those payment details at every renewal to charge again. And if anything goes wrong across that, then you don't have the customer there in real time to communicate with and change things. So that's why it's sort of a heightened problem for subscription business. So many transactions and not access to the actual buyer. So there are more than 2,000 different reasons why a sort of a transaction can fail. Here listing some of the most important ones and highest ones, sort of out-of-date card information or inaccurate card information, credit card changes, they expire, you get a new one issued, you lose it, and so on, and you don't go into all your subscription services and update them. Insufficient funds, especially in consumer services or where you have a lot of students and also for others, or temporary holds, which is a bit of a tell-all for the payment industry, just like the bank has some issue with the card for some reason, which is not always sort of easy to understand why. Could be payment gateway issues or outages, or real, which is good, or perceived risk for fraud. Like every gateway and every payment have this different tolerance for fraud. So in total for the industries, you can lose potentially 7.2% in average of your customers every month based on these risks. So 7.2% of your customers are at risk based on an initial failed transaction as you charge them for no reason but this, so involuntary fraud. So obviously it's super important to fight that in different ways. It plays out a bit differently for different industries again. Looking at sort of where they have OTT SVOD, so it's at 6.2% in median. So you can see how it plays out across. Obviously, it's crucial to reduce the risk for that. So there are a number of strategies that you can apply, and our data shows applying those strategies can make you win back roughly 70% of those customers at risk through applying different types of strategies. So 70% is roughly the average for across industries. I'll show you for OTT. The core strategies that we help our customers with is, one is account updater. So we understand and we know when a transaction is supposed to happen. So a number of days before that, we go out and try the card. And if something wrong with the card, we can contact the card networks, and they have a database of changes that have happened. So we go out with the batch, we update the card before the transaction happens, and when the transaction happens, we have an updated batch of card. And that really helps winning back sort of a large percent of that, which is key. The second thing is revenue optimization engine. When you have soft declines for different reasons, insufficient funds or temporary holds and so on, you can have either sort of just a a basic logic to sort of retry them in a pattern. What we do, since we've been in the business for such a long time and have so much data on the patterns around that, is that we apply machine learning to optimize the retry logic behind those. So based on the kind of error, the kind of card, debit, credit, prepaid, the bank behind it, is it a cross-border or within border, we optimize the retry schedule for the card. It can be simple things in time of day, end of month when the funds are back, or more advanced thing. But that really helps win back sort of a third. So it's roughly a third won back by these different strategies. Last but not least is the dunning part. Obviously, if it's a hard decline, we have automatic workflows to kick out mails or communications to users to make them sort of go in and manually update the cards. And the dunning window you allow obviously also sets the sort of the timelines for for how long you want this to happen. And the timeline has some impact on the recovery rate. So this is not sort of, doesn't look like rocket science. The longer you allow sort of a recovery time to be, the higher amount of customers you actually win back. The challenge for many companies is that you also have a sort of a cost of the goods that you're selling. So you are providing the content, or if you're in a physical goods, you maybe send out the box before you know if that customer is really there. So it's not always possible to have a really long dunning window, but like in that balance, you should know that the longer you can keep that open, the more customers you can win back. So it obviously plays out differently for any business. That the recovery rate, applying all these things, looks then a bit different for different industries. And once again, focusing on the OTT, around 65% of the at-risk customers can be won back by applying these strategies that a provider like Recurly would help you with. So the resulting sort of involuntary churn then comes quite a bit lower. So if you remember the 7.2% figure, we can in general push down to around 2%. So unfortunately, all involuntary churn cannot be avoided if there's not sufficient funds on a debit card at any point in time, or if a sort of a prepaid card has expired, then that customer is over. But through these tactics, obviously you win back a lot. And we actually sort of try to dig really deep in the payment aspect of that to win back as much of that as possible. So, and as you can see, the involuntary churn is actually, for our base, trending down in all categories. And I think it's due to sort of our customers doing a good work in looking at it, but also applying sort of updated tactics around this and applying more data to it. So in the end, it means that sort of the impact of applying decline management strategies actually sort of can increase your monthly revenue by 12%. So 12% in average of a subscription business monthly revenue can be attributed to customer winbacks. So in conclusion, I guess, really pay attention to both voluntary and involuntary churn. This is something that you impact with everything you do. It's not sort of a particular part of your business that's supposed to look at that. It's like from how you acquire customers to how your service is priced, bundled, planned, how your customer experience is, and then also obviously how you manage payment aspects of this. And you should sort of work with a platform provider that can give you tools and insights and so on to manage this in a really sort of effective way. And who knows, that sort of might be Recurly one day. So
fantastic.
That's it.
Round of applause for Jonas.